Pamin yang lung kham tai.
Ê, Hà Nội có sóng rất to lắm kìa.
Langula may kutan an hal pantawin. Tagari wi kalung si kamo da la ado ita.
Pucl reports and analysis based on national and international media outlets. The eruption of ethnic violence in Manipur beginning May 3, 2023 marked a turning point in the state's political and social fabric. Extensive reporting reveals a catastrophic sequence of arson, displacement, and communal rupture. Now, 2 years later, the People's Union for Civil Liberties, Pucl, has released a comprehensive tribunal report that digs beneath the headlines. This analysis explores the contours of that report, pits them against the critiques from Thai civil society, and examines how both align or don't with documented realities on the ground. Over the initial weeks of the violence, dozens of Kuki-Zo villages were engulfed in flames. Reliable tallies consolidated from outlets such as the Indian Express and captured in updated summaries, e.g. Wikipedia, cite over 786 houses torched, accompanied by attacks on religious structures and community institutions. Field reporting from The Guardian in May 2023 and the Associated Press in December 2024 described settlements completely emptied, nothing but ashes and scorched timber remained. Community accounts, especially from displaced inhabitants, often speak of over 200 villages burned down. Yet, while emotionally resonant, that higher figure lacks precise documentation at the statewide level. The strongest evidence captured by official numbers and independent reporting remains the sheer volume of homes destroyed and clusters obliterated across multiple districts. Humanitarian suffering followed swiftly. By late 2023 into 2024, relief agencies and media documented around 60 internally displaced persons, IDPs, living in makeshift camps. An Amnesty International update from May 2025 reported over 58 people in 281 relief camps within Manipur, with thousands more scattered across neighboring states. Coverage by The Washington Post, July 2025, and The Guardian, August 2024, reaffirmed the 60 number, cementing it as the most reliable, cross-verified estimate. Conditions in these camps remain dire. Reports from AP describe squalid environments, damp, crowded, lacking privacy, with families fearful of returning to their homes because of rampant ethno-communal violence, armed vigilantes, and enduring mistrust. A critical question has been whether the state apparatus, police and paramilitaries acted as neutral peacekeepers, bystanders, or complicit actors. Human Rights Watch, as early as May 2023, called for investigations into police conduct, citing survivor testimonies alleging officers stood aside or joined violent mobs. Amnesty's 2024 brief referenced the Supreme Court's characterization of an absolute breakdown of law and order. In response, the court intervened with oversight, mandating external special investigation teams, SITs headed by officers from outside Manipur. Independent media investigations, such as those by Article 14, describe cases where FIRs were delayed, investigations incomplete, and victims intimidated. While the state police categorically deny institutional bias, the court's action itself signals systemic concern, regardless of individual intentions. Then came a scandal. Audio clips alleged to capture then Chief Minister N. Biren Singh inciting or coordinating violence surfaced in media, especially via The Wire. The Manipur government promptly dismissed these as doctored and malicious, issuing a press note on August 7, 2024. The matter escalated to the Supreme Court, which in February 2025 ordered forensic validation. By April, the government confirmed submission of a CFSL, Central Forensic Science Laboratory, report in sealed form to the court. Meanwhile, private forensics, Truth Labs, suggested a high probability voice match, but these findings lack legal weight absent courtroom disclosure. Thus, the speaker's identity remains officially unresolved, legally and publicly. This fraught background forms the stage for the Pucl Tribunal's release on August 20, 2025. Conducted under the leadership of former Supreme Court Justice Kurian Joseph and a jury of high-profile jurists, bureaucrats, academics, activists and journalists, the tribunal compiled testimony from over 150 survivors, complemented by hundreds more in written or group submissions. The jury was deliberately external to Manipur to maintain impartiality. Its findings, detailed in a 694-page report, have shaken public discourse. The Pucl Tribunal concluded that the violence was neither spontaneous nor random, but planned, ethnically targeted, and facilitated by state failures. Deep-rooted ethnic fault lines, socio-political marginalization, and land disputes formed a combustible mix. The March 27, 2023 High Court order extending scheduled tribe consideration to the Meiteis is cited as a spark that ignited widespread protests and violence on May 3. The report dismantles two pervasive narratives: that the Kuki-Zo populations were illegal immigrants and that they drove poppy cultivation in the hills. These claims are characterized as exaggerated and politically weaponized to demonize tribal groups. Survivor testimonies included horrifying accounts of murder, dismemberment, disrobing of women, and sexual violence. Trust in the police was repeatedly broken. Some accounts state officers not only failed to intervene but reportedly handed victims to mobs. Hate speech via social media and partisan print multiplied communal hatred. Relief infrastructure was decimated. Camps lacked sanitation, food and healthcare. Hospitals were attacked, medical staff fled, some survivors were denied treatment based on ethnicity. Mental health consequences, post-traumatic stress, depression are mentioned as unaddressed. Constitutional and institutional breakdown was stark. FIRs were selectively filed, investigations sluggish, and law enforcement was accused of active or passive collusion. State and central interventions like the Gita Mittal Committee and limited CBI investigations were deemed narrow, under-resourced, and poorly followed up. The report faults both governments for enabling impunity and deepening ethnic divides. The recommendations are expansive: a permanent High Court bench in the Hill regions, an independent SIT for thousands of pending cases, prosecution of hate speech and propaganda, restorative justice with reparations and survivor reintegration, improved relief systems, and sustained community dialogue are among suggestions. The jury warns that without accountability and structural reform, Manipur could set a dangerous precedent of state complicity in ethnic violence. This detailed narrative, however, is met with overwhelming criticism from Meitei civil society. Kokomi, the Coordinating Committee on Manipur Integrity, condemned the report as biased, misleading, and politically engineered, accusing it of legitimizing separatist agendas. They assert that the report misrepresented the Meitei demand for scheduled tribe status and engaged in selective omission, especially ignoring major violent incidents, such as the Torbang Kangvai attack, the Jakaradhop massacre in Jiribam, and enforced disappearances. They also allege the Pucl report repeatedly names Meitei groups like Arambai Tengol and Meitei Lipun, while ignoring Kuki-associated groups such as ITLF, Kotu, Kuki Inpi, Kuki Students Organization, and Kuki-Zo Council. Kokomi claims these groups actively participated in or orchestrated violence but were omitted from the Pucl narrative. Further, Meitei critics say the report glossed over Kuki militant involvement and recruitment of youth and deployed language portraying Kukis as forcibly driven out, while Meitei communities left hills, suggesting deliberate narrative framing. Former Chief Minister N. Biren Singh echoed the critique, calling the report divisive, deepening mistrust, and serving only to prolong misunderstanding. Human Rights International Federation and others have signaled intent to file defamation suits. The dispute underscores the deeply contested terrain of truth, memory, and political framing. To assess these claims, it's vital to cross-reference the PUCL report's core findings against verified facts. The scale of displacement, around 60, 0 IDPs, destruction, thousands of homes, devastated villages, and lack of relief infrastructure are corroborated by AP, Amnesty International, and media features. The fragmentation into ethnically controlled zones, armed militias patrolling borders, and continued insecurity in return areas reported by The Guardian align with PUCL's accounts of systemic breakdown and ethno-territorial division. The March 2023 ST notification spark is widely acknowledged as a key trigger. Multiple analyses echo that sensitive timing and community reaction. Hate narratives and misinformation labeling Kuki-Zo as poppy cultivators or infiltrators have been documented in local media and civil society accounts. Reports of police failure, delayed responses, and allegations of biased enforcement echo across HRW, Amnesty, Article 14, and Supreme Court commentary. Mental health, lack of sanitation, medical access, hospital attacks, and trauma sequelae are documented in rights group briefs and camp reporting. Conversely, incidents cited by Kokomi like Torban Kangvai or Jacarad Hop do appear in some local reports and legal filings, although they did not feature prominently in national-level journalism. The omission in the PUCL report may reflect choices about typology rather than negation, but the point of partial narrative curation is not trivial. It raises questions of completeness and perspective. Similarly, allegations of Kuki village volunteers, recruitment, armed confrontation, and youth radicalization have been reported in media, especially The Guardian, which described return of militant formations from beyond Manipur contributing to armed village defense and aggression. The PUCL's broader framework focuses on state failure and majority violence, and may underplay symmetrical Kuki violence. This juxtaposition yields both convergence and divergence. The devastation of homes, the humanitarian crisis, the institutional decay, and the communal fault lines are undeniable. The PUCL report's depiction of orchestrated ethnic targeting and state complicity corresponds substantively with the lived experiences and reporting. Its policy prescriptions echo urgent needs for justice, healing, and security. At the same time, the Mai Tai critique reminds us that any comprehensive narrative must account for all actors' armed groups across both communities, cyclical patterns of violence, and contested historical claims. A truly reconciliatory path demands acknowledgement of all suffering across communal lines. What emerges is a complex mosaic: a state fractured, trust shattered, institutions failing, and lives lost. The PUCL report adds depth, coherence, and specificity to this picture, dare one say, a moral indictment calling for structural overhaul. Its disclaimers, cross-verification, and method, deliberately external jury, field testimony, strengthen its credibility. But the Mai Tai challenge also highlights that peace cannot be built on partial narrative. For the report's impact to resonate, its findings must be dialogued with and contested in open civic forums, not dismissed as partisan. Public hearings, legal debates, academic scrutiny, and inclusive forums could both refine understanding and advance justice. Meanwhile, ground reality remains grim. Tens of thousands stranded, vigilante groups armed, mutual fear entrenched, and political polarization unrelenting. Without a broad-based, legally enforceable roadmap for accountability and a restorative justice infrastructure alongside inclusive dialogue, the trajectory remains precarious. In sum, Manipur's tragedy is neither singular nor simple. The PUCL tribunal illuminates structures of wrongdoing and paths to redress, even as Mai Tai critiques expose narrative gaps and communal demands for equal recognition. Whether peace returns depends on whether these voices can be held in balance and whether institutions can deliver justice equitably. Disclaimer from Zalingan Media, placed here to avoid confusion with analysis above. This analysis is based entirely on publicly available reports from rights organizations, Indian and international news outlets, and court and tribunal proceedings. All allegations are presented as reported claims, not confirmed facts, unless otherwise backed by official or judicial finding. Denials and counterclaims are included where present. Zalangam Media does not independently verify these claims and is not responsible for their accuracy. Responsibility for factual assertions rests with the original sources cited. This content is intended strictly for analytical and educational purposes and should not be interpreted as direct accusation or confirmation beyond what the sources themselves state. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to our channel Zalangam Media.
Commando IRBC 여기 이번에 계속 칼로노 원탑 맘중에 대시기 상품이 빌레스 소리에서 소매양 터졌잖아. 가리 타고 그러니까 앞으로 터졌잖아.